this video, I'm going to show you the vein petal. What I'm using is a 10 by 10 piece of poly burlap that I have heat sealed or wood burned the cut edges of my poly burlap. This is to prevent the fraying at the edges, as you will see a raw edge with this petal. Okay, so take note on your packaging whether it's 10" or 10.5". Whatever it is, you need to cut it into a complete square. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put your mesh into a diamond shape in front of you, and you're making note of where your factory edges are. So my top one is on my left side and my bottom one is on my right side. This is really important when making a flower with the vein petal, because you want all the edges going the exact same way so it doesn't look funny. So for this petal, this flower, I'm going to be doing my factory edge. The top one is always going to be on the left and the bottom one is always going to be on the right. I'm going to take a straight edge and I am going to cut right down the middle from corner to corner with my rotary cutter. And this will give you 2 pieces, which will be 2 petals. Now I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper and put it on my table, and then I'm going to cut another piece of parchment paper, and this will be used to go over top of the mesh. You are going to need an iron. Some people have used a hair iron. I'm just using a normal everyday clothing iron, and I have my iron set between the max and the linen. It's halfway in between the max and the linen. Depending on what kind of iron you have, you'll have to play around to get your exact settings to go with your iron. You're going to take one of your triangle pieces that you've cut, and I'm going to put it curl up so you can see that the curl is up, and the bottom, the finished edge, I have right along the bottom here. I am then going to take, you need 3 clips. You can use these little sewing clips, you can use clothespins, you can use little metal clips for paper. It's totally whatever you have on hand, or you can just freehand it and not use any clips at all. So I have my triangle with my factory edge at the bottom. What I'm going to do is take this factory edge and bring it right over and run it along the edge that is cut, well, heat sealed, so you don't see it. We want to make sure there's a point up at the top, and there's where the clips come in handy. I put little clips on just to make sure my mesh doesn't move before I get it done. And then I'm going to put one at the bottom. So this is what you have. Okay, so there's my factory edge. There is the long part of the triangle at the bottom. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the parchment paper and just put it over top of my mesh, and you can see through the parchment paper, so you can be able to see where you're ironing. I'm going to take my iron and gently press just along the edge of my mesh. And you'll see what looks to be like little wet marks on your parchment paper. That's a good sign. You just want a little bit of these wet looking marks. That means that your plastic on your mesh is melting a little bit, okay? And when we open it up, you'll see it a little better. We'll do a second piece. Again, curl up. My factory edge is at the bottom. I'm taking it, the corner here, and bringing it over to the other corner. Lining up to make sure my tip is lined up there. Okay, we're ready for ironing. Again, put your parchment paper over top. You can see through it. Take your iron and just gently press on the edge of the mesh. And you can do this for any mesh out there. Anything that has plastic in it will melt. Okay, so once your petal has cooled down, you can then take off your clips. And when you open up your petal, you'll see a beautifully lined vein. And this, with the ironing, it takes out the yuckiness of using glue and having glue strings all over. Okay, and once you take off your clips, you can pre-make your petals by using little rubber bands. You can get these clear elastic bands at Dollar Tree or any dollar store. You're going to open up your petal, and I'm right-handed, so I always have my petals to the left, and my right hand is with the tattoo. It's already pinched in the middle. I'm going to pleat going upwards 3 times, and then pleat it going downwards 3 times. So 1, so you're sliding it into the middle, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to put a rubber band around it, just at the end, and there's your petal. Okay, I'll do one more. Now you don't have to use the rubber bands. You can put your petal right onto your board as you're going. 3, 1, 2, 3. And there you have it. That is how you do the vein petal. I actually did a couple with foil the same way, so you could see that you can do it with any mesh you wish.